What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we're going to talk about Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Now, I'm not going to do a video on Easter eggs because I know there's going to be a ton of videos revealing what the Easter eggs were. And I'm pretty sure by now everyone has known what they are. But what I want to do is a bit of a brainstorming video and just share my ideas, my predictions based on these Easter eggs, based on what we got in the trailer and what we could potentially have in the future, and welcome anybody's opinions, predictions, and theories also in the comment section below. So to start off, one of the main details that are having people talking are the ones that are referring to the existence of Spider-Man and the Avengers and a possible coexistence with the MCU. One of the two biggest references to Spidey is how the movie introduces Detective Peter Mulligan, played by Stephen Graham, who is reading a Daily Bugle newspaper. And the Daily Bugle logo, if you take a look, the design is the same as it looked in Sam Raimi's trilogy, but that's not all. It's when Detective Mulligan gets mad, and right before he slams a newspaper, we see the headline that looks like it reads Avengers and the word nightmare. So that right there is hinting that this Sony universe could possibly coexist not only with Spider-Man but with the Avengers as well. But besides those hidden details, one detail that is not hidden and it's pretty obvious is the character of Peter Mulligan himself. So Toxin is one of the offspring from Venom and Carnage, and he attaches himself to Peter Mulligan, and it's not quite mature yet, so he can't really manifest himself fully. But once Carnage finds out, he tries to kill him. He tries to get rid of this toxin, and therefore he makes Peter Mulligan his target and wants to kill them both. Venom, on the other hand, he don't really want to kill him. He wants to protect the symbiote. He wants to raise it so he could take him under his wing and work alongside him. And that creates tension between Venom and Carnage. And I can see that being the tension, being the reason why they're going to fight each other in this new movie, this upcoming sequel. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting Toxin in this movie, but it looks like this could be the setup if they do go forward with moving on with this story from the comics for potentially a third film. But the character of Peter Mulligan is not the only thing that hints of a much greater universe existing. It's what is the events that happen later on in the comics, and that's when Venom and Carnage team up to destroy Toxin. But fortunately for Toxin, Spider-Man came to help him. Now, could this introduction of Peter Mulligan be yet another tease for us to see Spider-Man in Sony's Marvel Universe? Could this be the surprise appearance of Spidey in one of the Venom films, since director Andy Serkis says that the characters in Venom are unaware of Spider-Man's existence, let alone other heroes. Now notice he didn't say that Spider-Man does not exist. He just said that the characters are unaware of his existence, and not only Spider-Man's existence, but other heroes, meaning the Avengers. Or so it seems. The way this looks to be played out is that in this upcoming sequel, we will get introduced to Detective Mulligan to set him up for Toxin. That's one possibility that seems like it's setting up, and that's where we might get to see a surprise appearance of Spidey if they do move on with this comic book story. And if you really think about it, it would make kind of sense, because it would be kind of a bummer just to see Carnage die in this new movie coming up, because there was just so much hype, a lot of waiting that the fans had to do, and just to have him die would just be very disappointing. Now the next reference to point out would be as Cletus Cassidy is narrating throughout the trailer. He talks about, quote unquote, a rescuer who never comes. And as he says that, he slams a spider on the table. Now in this scene, he seems to be signing a postcard, which could mean that the narration we hear throughout the trailer is part of a letter or letters that he writes to Eddie, because it is directed towards him. Now imagine this. Cletus writes this letter to Eddie towards the end of the film, hinting his discovery of Spider-Man's existence, but for some reason has not made himself present yet. Now, if they're just unaware that Spider-Man exists, then we have to accept the fact that he does exist along with the Avengers and any other related events. Now, if this is true, then maybe they don't know who Spidey is yet, or the fact that he exists, because the film is set during the blip, or when Peter is in Italy during Far From Home, or just somewhere else from the upcoming No Way Home trailer. I mean, the title says it itself. The upcoming Spider-Man film does say it all in its title, that he's far away from home again, that there's no way back. Now, if we do consider the events of the MCU to be coexisting with this universe, then imagine if the film is set during the blip. Eddie Brock got the symbiote, but he has no idea that Spider-Man exists because it's happening during these 5 years of the blip. Let that marinate a bit, y'all. Now again, I'm only saying that because the director said that they are just unaware. he didn't say that they don't exist. And the fact that they're unaware could be the reason why the setting of the Venom films take place in San Francisco and not New York. And if they are to coexist, then one side of the characters would have to somehow cross to the other side of the country's coast to finally bring them together. Now imagine them having beef, the West Coast versus the East Coast type of thing, much like Tupac and Biggie back in the day. And if that's the case, then there's only one way to settle that, and that's somebody dropping a diss track. I got that. Now another theory about this rescuer that never comes is not literally referring to someone, but referring to the fact that both Venom and Carnage are not technically heroes, and that's why a quote-unquote hero figure never shows up. But so why would Cletus even mention that? Well, right before, he starts out saying how him and Eddie are the same. And usually when a villain or someone says that, it's because they're trying to convince them to work together. And like I mentioned earlier, in the comics, Venom and Carnage did team up in an attempt to destroy Toxin. And I see this proposal by Cletus as the cliffhanger at the end of the film to set up for the next one. Now this proposal could be referring to the fact that Toxin has become too dangerous and a hero-like figure has not come to do anything about it, so therefore the only option left is for them to work together. And the comics does describe Toxin as someone that is very powerful, very unstable, and if he does come up, then Carnage is probably going to see that as like, okay, this guy's even a match for me, he's too powerful for just either one of us, and nobody's rising up to do anything about it. So I guess we gotta set our differences aside and work together and take this guy out. I could see Eddie being kind of hesitant of doing that because he does want to protect him in the beginning, and that's probably where Cletus' letter comes from as a way to try to convince Eddie to do that. And since it's probably not the best way to handle things, that's probably where Spidey comes in and helps him out. And next thing you know, we have a surprise appearance of Spider-Man, and we have all these universes coming together. Let me know in the comments if you noticed anything that none of us have noticed. And if you made it to the end of this video, I guess, thank you for just hearing me blabber on about my thoughts. If you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, turn your post notifications on. That wraps it up for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.